and welcome to my review of Captain America, the First Avenger. Now, before I get into the actual review itself, I really want to address the issue of these tie-ins. And anyone that's seen any of these recent Marvel movies is going to know what I'm talking about here. They're trying to build a shared universe of all the superheroes, of course, leading up to the eventual Avengers movie next summer. Which you got to stay for after the credits for Captain America, by the way, because there's a pretty good teaser for the Avengers. A lot of even scenes shown, not like that crappy Dark Knight Rises teaser. And but like I said, I gotta address the fact that these tie-ins, honestly, a lot of people seem to have some trouble with them, and I understand where they're coming from. I have understood where they're coming from up until now. Now is the only time where I can really see some validity in these claims. Because, I mean, before, the tie-ins were fairly small things, like just a mention or a reference, and that's cool for, in fans. But it starts to really manifest in Captain America in such a significant way that you really start to have to ponder if someone who has not seen these previous movies is really getting the full experience of watching Captain America, watching the movie itself. There's a lot of plot tie-ins. Major plot points revolve around things from other universes, and while it's not necessary to enjoy the movie itself, I do think that it's getting to a point where it's almost becoming like a superhero serial. You need to keep watching all of them, which is a smart business move, and I can't blame them. And again, I'm personally enjoying it. It should definitely be noted. There's a lot of things, for especially Thor, in here. Otherwise, Captain America is a lot of fun. There's really no other way to put it. Honestly, the first half of the movie really does a great job of introducing you to the character of Captain America, particularly for a character so off-color. While he's well-known, much like Thor, he's rather unbelievable, frankly, in any form other than the panel or an animated form. But yeah, they do a good job of it here. They make him believable within the context of the movie, and they do make you feel for them, introduce you slowly. It really slowly introduces you to the character before the story, as it were, actually gets going, which I like. Much like Thor, in fact, too, except even to an even greater extent here. And as funny as it sounds, I think there was more establishing needed with Captain America than there was Thor. At least Thor has the ability to just say, hey, I'm superpowered, whereas Captain America has to explain the kind of faux science behind it. And frankly, just a lot of things in general, particularly because this is the last movie before this big Avengers team-up movie. They have to really, when they want to make it as lead-in to the Avengers movie. So it affects the ending a little. But otherwise, again, really fun. They are really tongue-in-cheek with their portrayal of Captain America for the first half to really ease you into the idea of finally seeing the actual suit on him and him going into action as Captain America. I think they do a good job of it. I really like the retro sci-fi vibe they're going for there, much like Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, except not poorly handled. It's a lot of fun to see Chris Evans in the role. I thought that he did a much better job than he did in the Fantastic Four movies. Honestly, I still kind of liked him there, but the script was terrible. The script for Captain America is not perfect. There's a lot of cliches in it. This really expected for what I like to call the phrase reversal, where the main character, who is at that point the male character at the low point, and usually it's the female character at the high point telling at the beginning of the movie, and when their roles are reversed, the main character says this line again to the female character, and it's kind of a cheeky, playful thing now because it means the opposite. It's a little expected. But at the same time, I have to say, this movie, he did a great job bouncing between the expected beats of the superhero genre. It's a hard balance, I think, making a superhero movie, because you have to do enough to distinguish yourself from other superhero movies and to not be just really generic. And yet at the same time, you have to hit these very specific beats. Of course, it depends on the superhero. Nolan's Batman trilogy has kind of survived without doing some of them. But even this is a great example, actually. There's always these expected things that you have to go through. And Captain America definitely hits all of those, most with a fair amount of panache. There's really not a whole lot of lag in this movie. I know a lot of people complained about padding, but honestly, I don't think there's really a whole lot of padding, and in my eyes at least, any scene that might be considered padding is entertaining in and of itself, and does lend, even if only in a very slight way, to the movie as a whole. There's nary a scene that means nothing. And I particularly liked how they they tied up the movie. And I know I said this was a problem, but it's only a problem insofar as if you haven't seen the series, it might seem a little odd. It's hard to judge something like this, frankly. I don't know anyone that hasn't seen these movies and has seen this, and so I can't ask them. But I've got to imagine that's going to be a little strange to them. And it comes a part of the Captain America character, I realize, and I'm being intentionally vague as to avoid spoilers, of course, but like I said, it comes a part of the Captain America character, the ending, but it does start to seem like it's giving some validity to people saying that it's like a 120-minute commercial for the Avengers. And while the adventure feels a little light, honestly, I wanted it to feel fairly light. I did not want to go into a super serious World War II Captain America movie where he's like really dark and he's dealing with the Nazis and like concentration camps. And no, that's not what I wanted to see. It actually might be interesting in retrospect, but I think we couldn't have expected that. Anyone couldn't have expected that. This is the Marvel Universe. This is not Batman. This is Captain America. And, well, again, I haven't read the Brubaker run. I heard he's done some great things with it. This is also a summer movie, and it's meant to be good fun. And I think in that respect, it definitely achieves that. The second half has a few problems. I think that there's the action speeds by a little too fast for my liking. Not that there wasn't good what we saw. Everything we saw was good. And unlike Thor, it had a little more of a build-up to the climax, so the climax seemed a little more climactic. But I just would have liked to have seen a few more minutes. There's one actually, like an action montage even, with some really cool stuff in it that you frankly like, hey, well, why don't we see that as a set piece too? But I can understand keeping the movie's length down, because I mean the movie's already like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something, and you really don't want to push it out too far. Otherwise, again, I really can't comment too much on the story. It's fairly silly comic book fare, but it does a really good job making you believe it or buy it within the context of the movie. I like how they're really starting to seriously tie in the other franchises, Thor and Iron Man and the Hulk into this. And I particularly like the villain in this one, Red Skull. Not because he's the greatest villain. I mean, his motivations are fairly like, oh, take over the world! But at the same time, I gotta say, in all fairness, that whole take over the world vibe did, to me at least, fit in with the retro vibe of the movie was really going for. This really is a war adventure movie, and I know that seems a lot of kind of odd to say, but I think anyone who's seen Inglourious Bastards, I think I mentioned it in that review as well, will know what I'm talking about. It's war, particularly as a lighter adventure, rather than as a depressing epic. And while that may be misconstrued to be insulting to war veterans, I like the vibe that it's going for here, and it was pulled off really well. The director Joe Johnston previously directed The Rocketeer, and unlike everyone else, I'm not going to say that I love The Rocketeer. I actually did not like The Rocketeer all that much. I recognize it's a good movie, but it just didn't appeal to me all that much. He did a great job with this movie, though, I think. This movie's not perfect. Like I said, it's fairly light, and there's way too many tie-ins for its own good for neophytes. But at the same time, if you're down with the Marvel Universe, and if you like superhero movies, you definitely need to go see this. It's probably the best one Marvel has handed out this year. Thor was good, but even if you don't like Captain America, I'm just interrupting myself here, but even if you don't like Captain America, you will probably like this movie. It does a great job letting you buy into the franchise. And because of that, I actually think the Avengers movie is going to be even more successful. I don't know how this movie is going to do abroad. So far it's doing well domestically, but if it really sets up the movie nicely and sets up what is going to be an essential character in the Avengers universe there. So, what did I think of the actors? Chris Evans as Captain America, I think was very believable, very likable, frankly. I think that's actually quite the key to Captain America's character and the success of the movie here, is that you like the main character. I think that's really integral in buying what is otherwise an outlandish character. Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull is Hugo Weaving. He doesn't really alter his persona very much. He's basically Hugo Weaving in every movie he's in, but frankly, I like Hugo Weaving, so what can I say? Tommy Lee Jones is a side character, great. Most of the support characters really great. A few of them are a little light on characterization, but honestly, it's a popcorn film. I don't expect greatness most of the time. It's nice to have it, but I didn't expect it to be 100% rating-wise. I'm actually amazed that I liked it as much as I did. I actually went into it low expectations because I don't like Captain America. I liked the vibe that it was giving off, but I was very, very not sure. I wasn't sure if they could pull it off or not. And frankly, it's a very thin line to walk for war adventure movies in general. So it had a lot of things going against it, and the whole necessity of tying in with the Avengers. But I think it was handled all with relative grace. And while it's not going to knock your socks off, I think, it definitely is a lot of fun. I definitely walked out of the theater with a yeah, good vibe. For the record, anyone that's not aware, I'm not American. And before I close out the review, I definitely wanted to say, too, that is actually something that they handled really well. Another thing they were walking on a tightrope for was that Captain America and himself, they handle him in such a way so as to reference his idea of patriotism. But it's not so much important that he's American as that he's fighting for a good cause, if that makes sense. He's not that he's going rah-rah America. He's going just like, yes, taking down the bad guys. He actually says early in the movie, it's like, I don't like bullies. So it's a good balance there, even if you're not American like I am. Otherwise, very little to say. As always with these movies, it's really hard to say anything other than that they're really well produced. Very much the same here. I think they got a really good design sense for Captain America, if that means anything. There's a really great sense of period mesh with that retro sci-fi vibe going on. The effects are all handled really well, particularly the miniaturization of Chris Evans' body, Captain America's body, before he becomes Captain America proper. Really looks convincing. Honestly, I thought it looked terrible during the trailers, but no problems during the movie itself. The sound is the only thing that I'm a little bit less enthused about. There's nothing amazingly memorable. It all works during the course of the movie. And there's one really great bit during the movie where he's trying to sell war bonds that I won't spoil. It's pretty fantastic. But other than that scene, there was a lack of like a really great theme. And every great movie needs a theme. And I always there's a lot of things that lack this, frankly. Like, as much as people say they don't like Pirates of the Caribbean 4, and you're perfectly fine to say that you don't, it's really hard to say that didn't have great music in it. Just because that Pirates theme, was really memorable in Jurassic Park. Like, who can't remember that? Dun, 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 and so on and so on. So Captain America didn't really have that, and of all the superheroes, I definitely thought he should have that. But you can always find that in a future sequel. Hopefully there's going to be a sequel. Hopefully the Avengers is good, but for now, rest easy. Go see Captain America. I think you'll have a lot of fun if you're anything like me, if you like superhero movies. Take a chance. Captain America actually is not so bad of a character after all.